A new jail going up in Kew Gardens, Queens. It's phase one of the sweeping overhaul of the city's prison system, which will shutter Rikers Island and create a network of smaller jails throughout the boroughs.
Construction is underway for New York City's borough-based jail program. 4 new jails are expected to be built in Queens, the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Manhattan.
New York City is about to build the tallest jail in the world. Right in the middle of Chinatown, Manhattan, which is one of the most densely packed neighborhoods in the entire country. They're calling it the Jail Scraper. And before you think this is just another government construction project, let me tell you, somebody is going to lose everything over this building. The question is who? So, how did it come to this? And is this $16 billion plan actually going to work? Or is it just the most expensive mistake New York has ever made? Let's get into it.
The end of New York's most famous and infamous jail taking a big step closer tonight to closing. The City Planning Commission of New York voting overwhelmingly to open 4 replacement jails for the Rikers Island jail complex.
Here's where we start. On the corner of White Street and Baxter Street in Lower Manhattan, there used to be a building called the Manhattan Detention Complex, or better known as the Tombs. It's been a jail site since the 1800s. The city has torn it down and rebuilt it multiple times over the decades. And now, they want to build something on that site that has never existed anywhere in the world. A jail that rises over 100 meters into the sky. We're talking about a correctional facility that competes with skyscrapers for airspace, right in the middle of one of the most famous cities on Earth. Now, here's the thing that most people don't realize when they first hear about this. The reason they have to build up is not a design choice. It's a constraint. Manhattan is one of the most land-scarce places on the planet. The only direction you can go is vertical. The site is already in a tight urban grid, surrounded on all sides by streets, buildings, and a functioning neighborhood. There is no room for perimeter walls or traditional exercise yards on the ground. Everything that you would normally use to run a jail, safely like the wide open spaces, the clear sight lines, and the physical separation between staff and inmates, none of it is available here. So, what you get is a jail that has to solve problems that no jail has ever had to solve before. Now, let me tell you something that gets glossed over in most coverage of this project. Building a jail in a high-rise is not just an engineering challenge. It is a serious security problem. In a traditional jail or prison, security is built around a concept called the panopticon. A central guard post, long rows of cells radiating outward, and one guard can see everything. It's not a pleasant concept, but it works as a security model. But in a skyscraper, you can't do that. The floor plate of a high-rise is too small. You stack floors instead of spreading cells horizontally, so your guard's field of vision is limited to one floor at a time. And when you need to move inmates, say to court, medical, or recreational areas, you put them in an elevator. Now, imagine an elevator as the primary way you transport people who may be volatile, traumatized, dangerous, or a combination of all three, alongside the staff responsible for keeping them in custody. If something goes wrong in that elevator, there is nowhere to go. This is a documented security risk that has been raised by corrections professionals and acknowledged by architects working on these kinds of facilities. Now, to be fair, it's not like there's no history to learn from here. Chicago's Metropolitan Correctional Center is probably the best reference point. It's a triangular high-rise jail that was built in the 1970s, and its design was specifically engineered to give a single guard broader visibility across the cell floors. They also used the roof as an outdoor exercise area because, just like in Manhattan, there was nowhere on the ground to put it. So, the design problem is solvable, but solvable and solved are two very different things. And right now, this project is still deep in the planning and political phase, which means the security architecture is still being figured out at the same time that billions of dollars are already being committed.
But Brandon Holmes, director of the Freedom Agenda at the Urban Justice Center, disagrees. He supports the borough-based plan and believes the city should invest in a more humane jail system and that Rikers Island should close permanently.
All right, let's step back. Because to understand why they're doing this, you have to understand what they're trying to replace. Rikers Island. If you've never heard of Rikers, here's the short version. It is one of the most notorious jail complexes in the United States. and it has been for decades. It sits on a narrow island in the East River, between Queens and the Bronx, and it houses thousands of people at any given time, most of whom have not been convicted of anything. They're waiting for trial.
In a statement, Mayor de Blasio says closing Rikers Island will make our city stronger and more just, and I'm proud to deliver a system that better reflects this city's values.
And the conditions on Rikers are brutal. Violence between inmates is common. Violence from staff has been extensively documented. There have been deaths that made national headlines. Reform efforts have been tried and failed so many times that the phrase Rikers Reform has become almost meaningless to the people who live and work there. The place has been described by investigators, judges, and human rights organizations as a facility that causes harm simply by existing the way it does. But here's the part that often gets missed in the public debate. Rikers is also a logistical disaster. Jails are not prisons, and this distinction matters. Prisons house people who have been sentenced. They're often far from cities because land is cheap and remote locations raise fewer objections. But jails are different. They hold people who are awaiting trial, which means those people need to appear in court regularly, sometimes multiple times a week. Rikers Island is not close to any courthouse. Getting an inmate from Rikers to a Manhattan courtroom means a bus ride, a bridge crossing, city traffic, and a return trip, all of which costs money, takes time, and fails constantly. Missed court dates because of transport delays are not rare on Rikers. They're routine. And every missed court date is a delay in someone's case, and that's someone who, again, has not been convicted of anything. The city's plan is to fix all of this by closing Rikers entirely and replacing it with 4 smaller, borough-based jails. One in Manhattan, one in Brooklyn, one in Queens, and one in the Bronx. Each one placed close to local courthouses, and each one designed to a higher standard than what Rikers offers. The idea is that you put people closer to their communities, closer to their legal proceedings, and you give them an environment that at least doesn't actively make their situation worse. The city is calling these justice hubs. They're supposed to integrate social services, legal support, and rehabilitation programming directly into the facility. Now, do I believe that framing completely? No, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But the underlying logic is sound. The concept is right, even if the execution is deeply questionable.
They're going to be releasing violent criminals in the communities. And I'm the father of a 16-year-old who's going to get on the train next week.
Here's where this story gets genuinely painful. Chinatown in Lower Manhattan is not just a neighborhood. It is a community that has survived decades of pressure from rising rents, displacement, the economic devastation of September 11th, and the COVID pandemic, which hit Asian American communities especially hard. The people who live and work in Chinatown have fought hard to stay there, and they are not happy about what the city is planning to put in their backyard. A group called Neighbors United Below Canal, or NUBC, has been one of the loudest voices against this project, and their concerns are valid. Think about what years of major construction does to a dense urban neighborhood. The noise, trucks, dust, and loss of foot traffic that small businesses depend on to survive. Now, add to that the specific concern about demolition dust, because the site includes older buildings with materials that could be hazardous when disturbed. Community members have raised real health concerns about what years of construction phase exposure could mean for residents, especially elderly residents and children. And then, even after all of that disruption, what do they get? A jail in their neighborhood, permanently. Some residents have pointed out that when you put a correctional facility in a neighborhood, there are ripple effects on property values, on the character of the area, and on the kinds of businesses that choose to locate nearby. And they feel that Chinatown, a community that has already absorbed more than its share of hardship, is being asked to take on a burden that wealthier neighborhoods would never accept. I think they're right to be angry. The city's argument is that this is for the greater good, that closing Rikers benefits the entire justice system and the people caught inside it. And maybe that's true, but the greater good is a phrase that always seems to land hardest on communities with less political power. Now, let's talk about the number that's been haunting this project from the beginning. $16 billion. That is the current estimated cost of the full borough-based jail plan for all 4 facilities combined. And here's the kicker. That number has almost doubled from what it was when the plan was first announced. This is not unusual for large New York City infrastructure projects, but it is still staggering. $16 billion for jails is a number that demands serious scrutiny, and the spending problems don't stop at cost overruns. As of the time this project was being reported on in detail, a contractor for the Manhattan facility had not even been selected yet. The project was supposed to be moving toward a 2027 deadline for the closure of Rikers Island, and the main facility wasn't even in the hands of a builder yet. That 2027 deadline, by the way, is widely considered to be fiction at this point. None of the replacement jails are on track to be completed by that date. Then you add the political layer on top of all of this. The plan to close Rikers and build these replacement facilities sits in the lap of the mayor's office. And during the period when this project was gaining momentum, New York City Mayor Eric Adams was dealing with his own serious legal problems regarding a federal indictment that raised significant questions about his ability to lead major city initiatives. And here's the broader concern I have, beyond the logistics. Cities have been building new jails and prisons and announcing them as improvements for as long as jails and prisons have existed. The pitch is always some version of the same thing. This one will be different. This one will be humane. This one will rehabilitate, not just punish. And then, over time, populations grow, budgets get cut, overcrowding sets in, staff conditions deteriorate, and the new facility starts to look a lot like the old one. Community members and critics of this plan have raised exactly this concern. History does not give us a lot of reason to trust the new and improved jail promise. And when the new and improved jail costs $16 billion, sits in a dense residential community, and faces unresolved security questions about elevator bottlenecks and sightline limitations, the skepticism becomes pattern recognition. So, here's where we land. New York City is trying to do something genuinely necessary. Rikers Island is indefensible. The system that forces pretrial detainees to sit on an island far from their courts, their families, and their lives is cruel and inefficient. Replacing it with something better is the right instinct. But the way they're doing it is not a story of progress. It's a story of a city lurching toward a solution while the people most affected by it watch and wonder if they even matter. The jail scraper might get built. It might even function. But if the city wants to claim this is about dignity and justice, they have a lot more to prove than just pouring a foundation. That's it for now. And tell us in the comments, are you in support of this project, or should New York just go back to the drawing board?